Okay, it is 9:42 a.m. I had a very degenerate trade with OCEA and I took it just because I saw that it could possibly try to do something, but I got in and out of it very quickly. And that's mainly because of the fact I just don't like the reason why it's up on news. It doesn't have like the best news. And also you can see like the previous run-ups, they had one that went way up, right? And then this one not so much. More volume though, and then this one. And then this one was really bad. So it's starting to look worse. I was interested in shorting this, but it's not shortable on Schwab, which is my only broker that I have available to short. So I didn't short it, and I saw what seemed to me like a head and shoulders, a shoulder ahead. And then once it was dropping, it was following this downtrending trend line. And once it broke it, I thought this could be something where you buy like the dip before it makes the shoulder. So then, you buy it and then you sell into the shoulder ideally. But because of the fact that it has like a really bad chart and everything, I figured maybe it might not even make a good shoulder. But I did buy 15 shares. I'll have to see if that was according to a $20 risk level. I thought worst case scenario, it breaks this low 695 and it drops all the way to 6, which might have been a bit massive. But I bought right here because it broke this downtrending trend line, and that was 15 shares at 712. So right here, I sold 5 shares when it was not looking too good, and then it uptrended a little bit at 718. That was the next minute, and then once it tried to make a move towards the upside, it sold at 725 for the rest of the shares. And yeah, what do you know? Not too much later, it did sell off, and now it's trying to maybe follow this downtrending trend line from the bottom. Maybe you'll downtrend, like curve around the downtrending trend line somewhere and then try to turn around and make a move above this line right here. But I don't really want to trade that. This thing was a really degenerate trade. And in terms of long-term setups, I am looking at Rivian. I like the news that came out with it yesterday that they're going to be allowed to use superchargers at the Tesla stations, which would be great for that because that means it doesn't have to spend a whole bunch of money on infrastructure. They can just use Tesla stuff, which is pretty fast. I like the inverse head and shoulders, the shoulder ahead and then the shoulder, and then this is the second higher low. And we're at the point where it's trying to hold above this very important level. This was support at one point, now resistance. And I want to see if maybe it can do like another dip, and then that'd be something I'd be considering for a longer term setup. And I'm also looking at what was that other one? I forgot the other one, I guess. Oh, also this one, Schwab. It looks like it could try to make an inverse head and shoulders at some point. Shoulder, the head, and then it's kind of selling off right now. If it makes like a shoulder, it could be something where I can go long and just risk this level, I guess, or maybe this level here. They're not too far apart. And that could be another long-term setup. Otherwise, that's it for right now. I'm not really focused on day trading stuff, although I will look to see what's up on the day, and if I see a setup, I'll try to trade it. I'm gonna just try to consider doing more longer term stuff, and that's all I have for right now. It's 10:36 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. I had this one trade with OCEA and that was it. And the setup didn't really work out too much when I entered, but it did play out ultimately. It did do the thing I was interested in, which was a head and shoulders and then a dip buy with it ideally making a shoulder to sell into. And you can see the shoulder, the head, and this was the shoulder right here to sell into. And this thing just took a while compared to this one, but it worked out at 939. I was in it because it broke the downtrending trend line that I don't have here, but it was there on E-Trade. And I didn't like the way it just kind of ran up right here and I got out. And it broke the level, but just by a little bit. And it eventually held itself together and it didn't break again much lower than here. It made the move above this VWAP line and it got to the 760s as high as 790, which is pretty massive. So I'm pretty happy that it worked out. Even though I wasn't really in it for this move, I was in it and out of it when it did this move right here. And it just sell off for the rest of the day. And I guess best case scenario, it was a 11% move, which is good. I did stick to a $20 risk level, thinking that maybe worst case scenario it was going to break this level right here of 695 and it goes all the way to 6. Maybe that was a bit massive. Maybe 650 would have been more realistic, and then in that case I would have needed to have had more shares. Looks like maybe twice the amount of shares, and that would have been slightly more profitable, right? And then best case scenario would be 20 bucks, and again trading a tiny $20 risk level. So maybe I needed more shares, but in general I would like to size up, but I only want to do that with long-term setups, nothing really short-term. And still interested in reviewing, even though it's sold off for that setup. Maybe it can be like an inverse head and shoulders, and if it keeps selling off, maybe a higher low off of this level, although that might be too many. And I'll keep looking at this one for an inverse head and shoulders. That's all I have for today.